Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube page, where I'll be previewing and predicting every game here in Week 16 of the NFL. So be sure to subscribe to my page to get all my previews, as well as all my other sports talk videos delivered directly to your inbox. Big game in the AFC North as far as the AFC playoffs go, when the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Cincinnati comes into this game currently in the second wild card spot in the AFC with a record of 8-6, and right behind them with a record of 7-7 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers come into this game having lost last week to the Cowboys 27-24 in overtime in what was a very good game. If you didn't catch it, I know it was the national game. It actually got a very high rating, so I'm assuming a lot of you saw it. But very good game. The game went into overtime. And the game was decided on a costly Roethlisberger interception in overtime, which is something you don't see from him much. A big situation like that, a big spot like that late in the game, he usually comes through. And, he let one get away from him. Brandon Carr made a good play on the ball, set up the Dan Bailey game-winning field goal. For the Steelers, they're typical vintage Steelers team as far as the defense goes, allowing, less than 100 yards on the ground. And really, their defense, I don't think has been a huge problem for them this year at all. I think the defense has been exactly what we expected it to be. As a matter of fact, I think it might even be a little bit better than we expected it, because I think people thought, aging defense, maybe they'll take a step back. But the defense has been stout and has been a typical Steelers defense. I think the difference in the Steelers this year that you see, and you've sort of been seeing this the last couple of years, is their running game is not at the level that it has been in years past. And I think that's had a huge impact on their season. And I think it could potentially have a huge impact on this game if they're not able to get anything going on the ground. Because, they have Roethlisberger, who I think you saw last week, throwing for over 330 yards. I think you saw him get his legs back under him, get his feet back under him. I thought he looked good throwing the ball. And I think you'll see that now continue these last two games of the regular season. We know they have the weapons: Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Mike Wallace, Heath Miller. He has the weapons, and I think we're seeing a little bit of an identity change. It's probably already taken place, but I think we'll see it even more the last 2 weeks of the season, where Pittsburgh will come out and try to establish the run, but I think Todd Haley will be pretty quick to then put the ball up in the air a lot if the running game doesn't work. The one other thing I worry about a little bit with the Steelers is the relationship between Roethlisberger and Haley. Roethlisberger's come out and questioned some of the play calling, questioned some of the things the offense is doing. I think, though, these two know what's at stake the rest of the season. I think you have a two-time Super Bowl winner in Roethlisberger who won't let this derail, the overall goal that this veteran team has. I don't think you'll see Mike Tomlin let this relationship sort of sour the offense heading down the stretch here. But something worth monitoring after the season, I think this relationship is, and heading into next season. Roethlisberger was very upset when they let Bruce Arians go after last season. And again, just something to monitor their relationship going forward. But I think the one thing from Haley you'll see to close out the season is they'll be putting the ball up a lot more if they can't establish that run early on. So watch out for that run early on from the Steelers, and look for them to abandon it pretty quickly if they can't get it going here. Roethlisberger, is a guy that has had tremendous success against Cincinnati. I look for that to continue this week. I don't see any reason why that would change at home here. As far as Cincinnati goes, look, they have won 5 of their last 6 games. Okay, the one loss coming in Week 14 against the Cowboys on that last-second field goal. If you've look though at the 5 games they've won in their last 6, outside of a win against the Giants, a dominating win against the Giants, which kind of got this whole streak started for the Bengals, the wins haven't been against the most impressive teams. At least that's what you hear people say. But nonetheless, give credit to the Bengals, because it looked like at the beginning of the year, you were thinking, man, maybe the Bengals played a little bit above their heads last year as a young team, and maybe this will be the year they kind of take a step back. But looking back on it, I think if you kind of forecasted their schedule, you could have seen a run like this coming. And look, they're in a perfect position here. They're at 8-6, okay? They're currently in the 6th seed in the playoffs. If they win this week, they'll then potentially set up a game for the division title in Week 17 against the Ravens. So that shouldn't really be lost here. The Bengals have a ton to play for, and if they win this game at minimum, they clinch a playoff spot. So that cannot be minimized. You have a Bengals team that's coming in here looking to make a statement, looking to say, hey, we're at the top of this division. The Ravens and the Steelers, you had your time, and we're the new kids on the block, and we want to take over. I think another advantage for the Bengals is the fact that they've had the 9-10 days off to prepare. Steelers are coming off of a road game in the late window there on Sunday. So I think you're looking at the Bengals getting almost 3 full days extra to prepare and to most of all rest their bodies for the Steelers, which I think is a big deal, especially considering the age that the Steelers players have, most notably on defense. So I think that'll play a factor. As a whole, I expect this game to be a low-scoring variety type of game. I'd be surprised if either team scores over 24 points in this game. The Bengals have run the ball better in recent weeks. In the past, I would say in the last actually probably 6 weeks since this streak's gotten going, they've run the ball a lot better against defenses that are nowhere near the level of the Steelers. So I look for this game to really come down to Andy Dalton versus Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers are currently installed as 4-point favorites at home. A spread I don't think is that surprising, considering the success the Steelers have had over the Bengals in years past, considering how good the Steelers in general have been, and considering how good the Steelers are at home in general. I like the Bengals +4, but I like the Steelers to pull this game out late. I look for Roethlisberger to be in the same situation he was last week, maybe this time though in regulation, but I look for him this time to lead his team down in a clutch spot late in the game and win the game for his team and make up for that interception last week that he made in that crucial spot there against the Cowboys. I think if you're expecting him to kind of blow the game late in the game 2 weeks in a row, I can't expect that based on what I've seen from Roethlisberger in years past. So I like the Bengals +4 because I like getting, obviously, that 4 there. So I like the Bengals +4, okay? But I like the Steelers to win outright at home and to kind of jumble up this whole playoff picture here in the AFC heading forward here. So that's my pick here for the Bengals and Steelers. Be sure to subscribe to my page to get all my other picks and hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. And also, I'm always on Twitter, @SNewsAnalysis. That's @SNewsAnalysis. Thanks, guys.